Okay, welcome to today's webinar from MSP Success. I see people piling in. I've got Dave D on with me here today. We're actually just talking, right before, how many people are registered, and I was giving him, this is usually how many people we have on, and we have much higher than normal on this. And I'd like to attribute it to Dave's, boyish good looks. But I think it's a topic. I think it's a topic because if you're here, on this webinar, then you are definitely interested on how do you attract, high value clients, and how can you, use presentations in order to, convert these prospects into clients. And so you're here to learn about that. I'm excited to have you on here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Allison Felber. I'm the editor-in-chief at MSP Success, and I have been working in the IT industry for, I don't want to do the math, over 15 years now. And I just love working with MSPs, helping them grow their business in various capacities. And one of the things that I get to do now as the editor-in-chief at MSP Success is find resources for you. Find, different people, different topics, different articles, different content, different events that help you as an MSP to grow your business. And so I've got, someone very special in here today. I've known Dave for years and been able to work with him in a lot of different capacities. But he is just one of the best, when it comes to really teaching people how to do presentations, how to do webinars, how to do sales pitches that really get results. We even retained him, to work with us and our sales team, TMT's sales team. So Robin, herself has entrusted Dave in order to train us up. And so he's been doing this for what? We want to date you too, Dave? How long?
Uh, Quarter of a century.
Ah,
Quarter
okay.
of a century. I maybe I should say 25 years because
I was
what
gonna
sounds
say a
less?
quarter of a
What
century
sounds
kind of
less?
dates you, makes you sound a little older. So we'll say 25 years, a
25
young
years, yeah.
sprite, 25 years. Dave has been doing this and worked with a lot of MSPs as well. So definitely works in a lot of different industries, but has worked with, many of TMT's members, many of our clients, a lot of MSP Success subscribers in order to, help them create presentations that, again, really attract leads and convert them into appointments, and not just appointments, high quality appointments. So you're going to hear, about some of the results that he's gotten for MSPs in today's training. But I want you to pay really close attention. And I want you to, if you can, put on do not disturb, shut down your email, shut down your Slack, shut down your ticketing system for just a little bit of time today. You're on here on this webinar because you are invested in your business. And so give yourself this time right now to really learn, to really soak in what Dave is going to be teaching. I always tell people to get out an old fashioned piece of paper, you know what this is, and an old fashioned pen, and take notes, because you're going to retain information better if you are physically writing it down. So please, 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 if you're here, give yourself the gift of an hour just to learn and soak in some really good knowledge. I am going to be monitoring the Q&A as Dave goes through. So as you have questions, he told me to interrupt away. So please type those in. And I will be addressing those all throughout. So, okay. Any other housekeeping things, Dave? Yes, it's being
No,
recorded.
let's get rocking and rolling. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to go through here. And again, yeah, ask questions, everybody. The reason that, this is live, by the way, this is one of those fake live things. So ask questions. And as she said, pay really close attention because I'm going to be sharing with you stuff that you can take and that you can use.
Perfect. Okay, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Okay, great. Let me put up my, if everyone can just type into the chat that you can now see the screen, that would be fantastic. And that you can hear me clearly. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Okay, cool. So what we're going to be talking about over the next 60 minutes is how you can create a presentation that you can deliver either in person or you can deliver it on a webinar that'll get you qualified appointments. Now, Allison pointed this out. This is quality appointments. The idea here is not to fill our calendars with appointments with people that are just looking for information or looking to pick your brain who aren't ready to make a buying decision. That's not what we want to do here. So this is about how to get qualified appointments without you feeling like a pitch person. Okay. So what makes this training different is that you are going to be delivering good information, quality information to your prospects in a way that gets them excited and motivates them to want to do business with you. Okay, so let's go over some facts and some myths to get started. And I'd like to get this going right away with some controversial stuff. But this is important because this sets the foundation for where we're going. So the first thing is a lot of people think that generating more leads and more appointments is the key to growing their business. I've worked with a lot of MSPs and they're like, I want more leads. I want more leads. How do I get more leads? It's not really more leads. The truth lies in, as Allison pointed out in her opening remarks, is the quality of those leads. Okay, the quality of the engagements, not just the quantity of the engagements. Okay, so we're looking for quality. And one of the things about doing a presentation, the way I'm going to outline it for you, is that we are going to be getting quality appointments on the calendar. So one of the things that your very first note is, as part of a presentation, you want to obviously get appointments, but you also want to disqualify people. So it's not just about qualifying people. You want to disqualify people who you don't want to talk to, so that when your calendar has appointments on it for either you or your team, that those are really good people, right? They already know you, they already like you, they already trust your company, and they're ready to solve their problem. That's what a presentation can do for you. The next thing is, and this is a really hard one for folks, is that being excellent at what you do, being excellent at delivering your service, being great at the quality, having great customer service, all of that, it's not going to ensure your business success. It's just not, because it's not about the quality of your work until they become a client of yours. Then it becomes mission critical. Okay, then it's important for referrals. Then it's important for retention. But in the beginning, to get the appointment with these quality prospects, it's about communicating your value. Now, notice I have the word underlined your, and you want to make a note of this, and you're going to hear me repeat this a number of times, okay? Your value, not just the value of the service you offer. So a lot of MSPs who are doing presentations, they do a really great job of talking about the need for cybersecurity, the need for the technology, why it's so important. And they do a great job selling that. But what they don't do a great job of is selling themselves and selling their company on why they are the person to work with. So it's not, the presentation has got to have two pieces to it. One is, yes, obviously convincing businesses that they need your service, all right? But also that they need you to do it. Not just that they need an MSP, but that you're the MSP. And again, that's one of the huge advantages of doing presentations, whether they're automated presentations, whether they're live presentations, whether they're online, whether they're offline, doesn't make any difference. That is one of the huge advantages, because you're not just selling what you do, you're selling yourself and your company. The third mistake or false belief that people have is that following the marketing strategies as everyone else is doing in your industry is the way to go, and it'll keep you safe. Well, the truth is you must differentiate yourself, okay, and sell yourself to stand out. So I know a lot of folks are super successful on here, but maybe you're struggling to get to that next level. There are other folks that are just struggling overall. Here's the key. You need to differentiate yourself, because the truth is there's a lot of folks out there. There's a lot of companies that do the same type of service as you. And if you don't differentiate yourself and differentiate your company, you are being viewed as a commodity. All right. And so how do people make their buying decisions when they think that everybody's the same? Now, you and I know that everyone's not the same. Okay. But to our prospects, to businesses, they don't know the difference, right? You sound the same, you look the same, the marketing's the same, everything's the same. Why should they go with you over somebody else? What do they do? So put it into the chat, right? How do they make their buying decision? Put it into the chat if you can figure out if you're viewed as a commodity, how do they make the buying decision? That is correct, right? They make it based upon price. They make it based upon price, 100%. Okay. So with a one-to-many presentation, and that's what we're talking about, a one-to-many presentation, you are selling yourself, you're selling your company, and you're doing it in such a way that you make yourself different than your competitors. So at the end of the presentation, your ideal prospect will say to themselves, this is the person who I want to help me. Okay. So now that we've got those basics covered, let's talk about what we're going to explore today. Number one is how you can effectively communicate your value. Okay. The next thing is how to differentiate yourself in a crowded market. And then the third thing we're going to discuss is how to attract the clients who you truly want. Right. So those are the three areas. Let's dive into it. Now, by the end of this training, I want you guys to know how to create a presentation so you look like these two gentlemen right here. All right. But by the end of the presentation, you're going to have actionable strategies, all right, to transform your approach to what you're doing, to how you're attracting clients and achieve success you've been striving for. So what exactly is success? To me, it is not just about increasing your profits or making more money. It's about time, freedom, and money. And again, selling one to many, again, whether it's online on a webinar like we're doing here, or whether it is offline and doing a seminar or things like that, allows you to do that because you can communicate your message, communicate your value in mass to groups as opposed to just one-on-one. Also, because of the presentation structure, which we're going to go over today, I'm going to guide you through it. You're going to have better quality people on your calendar. And with better quality people, you're going to close sales at a higher rate and you're going to close them quicker, which gives you time freedom. And obviously, this all leads to more money. Okay. So, like we talked about earlier, and somebody put in the chat, 25 years sounds better than a quarter of a century. I've been helping folks like you craft presentations that convey their expertise, okay, and resonate deeply with their ideal clients, leading to more appointments. So I got my start. I'm just going to be this very brief here, but I do think it is important that you understand who you're listening to and why you should be listening to them. Because I know a lot of you have no idea who I am. So who knows who this is, by the way? Type into the chat if you know who this gentleman is right here. Let me see if we know here. Let's see here. What do we got here? Who's that? Who's that? Dan Kennedy. Exactly right. Okay. All right. So Kennedy was one of my greatest mentors, and he invited me to come and speak on one of his stages. Now, most of you don't know, I used to be a professional magician. That's right, a magician. I went from doing 3 shows a month to 25 shows a month in less than 90 days, and Dan's stuff really helped me accomplish that. And so he says, hey, I want you to come speak on one of my stages, and but here's the deal. You need to sell a product from the stage. You need to sell a product or service from the stage. So the way that this works is a little inside baseball is that when you speak from the stage at an event like this, you split the sales with the promoter of the event. And so I was really cocky, right? I said, oh my God, I've been on stages my whole life as an entertainer. How hard could this be? So I went up there and I delivered my one-to-many presentation, and I just expected people to be rushing to the back of the room to buy the thing I was selling, and I was expecting a stampede. And guess what happened? The only people going to the back of the room were folks that were going to the bathroom. I mean, I bombed. It was bad. I mean, I think I made 3 sales to an audience of 850 people. So then I had to make a decision. What was I going to do? Was I just going to be an entertainer, or was I really going to master this? So I invested in myself. I bought courses, I took private coaching, consulting. I spent over 100,000 learning to master this art of one-to-many selling. And then I created my own system. And then so Dan invited me back 2 years later. This time I was in a breakout session, because when you bomb on main stage, they don't put you back on the main stage. And I got a second chance. And this time, this is actually the picture. There was about, I don't know, 100 people in the room, maybe. But this time I was armed with my new system of closing sales, of getting appointments, selling from the front of the room. And um, the results were a little bit different this time because in 75 minutes, I sold $300,000 worth of my product. Now, again, I didn't get all 300,000. Dan got 150,000 of it, but for 75 minutes, 150K, that's a great hourly rate. What happened was people started asking me, hey, can you teach me to do it? Just business owners started to say, hey, can you teach me to do it? Can you teach me how to get appointments with one-to-many selling? And I wasn't sure. I mean, could I teach the system, or was I just so talented that I could do it? Well, fortunately, the answer was yes, and that's what I've been doing now. Like I said, for 25 years, is teaching folks this system and refining it so that they can use it. And I work now exclusively with folks like you that sell professional services. So here's Adam Spencer, MSP from 911 IT. He was really nervous because he had never done a presentation before. He worked with me, and he wrote, what if I, because he was nervous, what if I bombed? He said, I had clients immediately signing up for my managed plan before they left the seminar. From just 2 seminars, we signed up contracts that added up to a value of 198,720. Then we have, this is Anthony. Anthony says he's been using my materials and generated over 100,000 revenue from just 3 events. What was really cool is he spoke at a technology marketing toolkit event and put up new results. He sent me that, and then he said, I got new results. So we did 4 seminars, he got 15 appointments, 9 new clients. But the most important thing here is the 13,855 in new MRR. Okay, from the event. So it works. This is Natalie. Natalie started from scratch. She had no leads. She went from 0 to 350 leads. Again, using a webinar. She took her presentation, used it as a webinar, and 28 of the 350 scheduled appointments. So this session that we're about to go through is going to give you the stuff that you need. Okay, so I encourage you to take notes, stay engaged for the next hour. If you stay until the end, I'll give you something really cool, which is my template, which really goes through slide by slide how to design a presentation. Okay, now is this everything that you need to design a presentation? No, but it'll give you a nice outline. So stay until the end and you'll get that. So let's go over some of the problems that MSPs face. Number one is relying heavily on traditional marketing methods. Okay, you should be doing direct mail. You should be doing all this stuff. You should be doing email. You should be doing outbound. But that is not enough. Also, hoping that just delivering a great service will attract the best clients, because potential clients may overlook you, okay, if you're not effectively communicating your value. So I want you to imagine just for a second, you could wave a magic wand and have a presentation that showcases your expertise and naturally attracts and engages your ideal clients who see you as the obvious choice, the obvious MSP to work with, okay? Here's Barb.
Afterwards, when we did the webinar, I had 187 people register for the webinar, and we're on the webinar, and I'm seeing the numbers of the participants go up at the bottom at the Zoom thing, and I'm getting pretty excited, like, oh. And then when someone signed up, we both looked at each other, we're just like, oh, someone signed up. Like, but then when they started signing up, we're just like, holy shit, so that part was really funny. So my first one-to-many presentation that I did after coming back from Atlanta with you, that one I just caught a big, huge whale, because like I said, my presentation, I was happy that you were able to help me shrink it. And then I had to deal with all of the aftermath that happens after you like catch a whale, because I wasn't expecting that, because essentially overnight my business doubled.
So am I promising you that your business is going to double? Like Barb is an MSP, okay, out of Canada? No, I'm not promising you that. But that shows you the power of what we're going to talk about. So in this session, I'm going to share with you the foundational elements of the approach. And then for those of you that are interested in doing a deeper dive and doing a hands-on experience, I'll introduce you to something I call the Money Talk Workshop, which I'll be holding exclusively just for MSPs, okay, where we can work together to implement the strategies. Okay, let's dive in. Here we go. The framework for crafting an effective presentation. Here's what we're going to do. Step number one of designing a presentation that actually is going to attract your ideal your clients, get them to schedule appointments, is you need an engaging opening. Okay, so this is mission critical. You need an engaging opening. You need to capture your audience's attention immediately. All right, and I'm going to give you actually a script that you can take and that you can use right away. All right, now here's why you need to capture their attention immediately. Today, attention span is really, really small. That's why shorts and the short videos and everything is short and quick and to the point. So what you need to do is, if you don't capture their attention on a webinar, they're going to be surfing the internet. Okay, they're going to be checking their email. They're going to be, or if you don't get their attention, they are going to click off and they're gone completely. In an in-person audience, only the rudest person is going to get up and walk out, but they'll mentally check out, or you'll see them on their phones. So we need to, because if they're not engaged, then we can't close them, okay? So we got to capture their attention immediately. Here is the biggest mistake that people make at the very beginning, is talking about yourself. Now, you do want to tell your core story. I briefly told you my story because people do need to know who you are and why they should be listening to you. However, you don't want to do that at the beginning. So almost all presentations that I've seen MSPs do is that they come out and they have a kind of a boring title. First of all, you got to have a hot title for your presentation. They come out and they say, well, my name is blah, blah, blah. I do this, blah, blah, blah. I've been in business for so many years, blah, blah, blah. That is not a great opening. So talking about yourself is not the way to start the presentation. If you notice the way that I started this presentation, it was all about MSPs. It was all about you. I made the big promise at the beginning. We went through mistakes that MSPs made. Okay. I painted the vision of what could happen. And then I talked about myself. So here is the formula. So you want to write this down. Okay. Want to write this down. Here is a standard formula. Is it the only formula? No. Are you going to have to modify it? Obviously, but this will get you off to a running start. The first thing you want to say is, in the next blank minutes. So in the next 60 minutes, I will share with you how to, and then you want to have 2 to 3 benefits, all right? 2 to 3 benefits. The thing that your target audience wants, that they desire, that they would love to have, okay? So the next 45 minutes, I'm going to share with you how to benefit without having to, okay? So people are motivated by 2 forces, right? Pain and pleasure. There's moving towards motivation and there's moving away from motivation. What we want to do throughout the entire presentation is we want to use both of those motivations. So almost everyone here is selling a preventing something from happening. Now, obviously, if somebody has already had a security breach or something like that, cyber attack, that's a different scenario. But a lot of times we're selling prevention. We're selling, hey, hire us and this bad stuff won't happen to you. And so it's really important here in this opening that we address that. And so we're going to share with you. So you want to talk about the things that they want to avoid, right? How to avoid a cyber attack, how to avoid, right? Boom, without having to. What is the thing that they don't want to have to do in order to get all of those benefits? So let me give you an example outside of the industry, outside of MSPs, okay? Let's just take a simple example from weight loss, all right? So here's how to lose 10 in the next 45 minutes. I'm going to share with you a simple 1, 2, 3 step-by-step strategy for losing 10 pounds in the next 10 days without having to go on a crazy diet or exercise every single day, right? So it's the thing that they want to achieve without the thing that they don't want to have. All right. So let's do a little exercise here because, again, I want to make this interactive. You guys see the formula here. I want you to type into the chat how you would complete this sentence to open your presentation. All right. So put this into the chat. I'll give you a second here.
Yeah, and maybe while they're doing that, Dave, so go ahead
Yep.
and think on that. I'll grab Anthony your question so you don't have to copy paste and put it into the Q&A there. But Anthony was asking, you know, are we selling prevention or enablement? Hold on. I think empowering clients to achieve a goal. My chat keeps bouncing around. I think empowering clients to achieve a goal can be more compelling than playing defense against the dark arts.
So you want to do both. So it's not an either or. Okay. It's not an either or. All right. So again, it goes exactly, that's a great question, by the way. It goes to, I don't see anybody typing this in. Come on, let's go. Let's actually do this, everybody. Okay, perfect. There we go. So perfect. Yeah, now we're good. Sorry, I guess we had to give them time to type it in. Being like a teacher there with a whip, right? Feel like I'm back in my Catholic school with the nuns. Yeah. And so it's exactly, Anthony, what we were talking about. Pain, pleasure, moving towards motivation, moving away from motivation. You want to use both. Those are the two forces. Now, here is the truth. Most people will do things to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. That's just the truth of human psychology. But you want to use both. So it's not an either or. All right, let's read some of these things here. Okay. In the next 45 minutes, I'll share with you how to make your team members smarter, your organization more difficult to target without having to break the bank. Fantastic. In the next 30 minutes, I'll share with you how to step outside your comfort zone, put your best foot forward, win customers without having to sell your soul. Good. That's okay, Carrie. And again, I've given you 1 minute to do it. That's a little general. So we want to make it a little bit more specific than that. In the next, let's see here. Next 45 minutes, you'll lock your digital front door, lock your digital windows, and change the keys without having to take up hours of your time. Thomas, I like it. It's a little too artsy, though. We don't want to have our prospects thinking at this point. We want to tell them specifically what we're going after. I love the participation here. Great. In the next 10 minutes, I'll share with you how to make your ConnectWise PCA suck less and make your team more efficient. I like it. Love it. Okay, perfect. Awesome, guys. All right. So step number 1 is the engaging opening. Honestly, this is one of the most important parts of your entire presentation. Let's go move on to step number 2. Okay, step number 2 is to build trust through story. Okay, stories matter. Stories matter. The structure of your narrative establishes your credibility and your trust of the audience. Now, when you're talking to a warm audience, so when I'm doing a webinar, for example, to my list, people who know me, right? I don't really go deep into my story every single time. And in fact, on this one, I just very quickly went past the story because I wanted to get to this. But it is important that you understand that, hey, Dave is giving me stuff here that actually works for MSPs. This isn't theory. So the biggest mistake is being boring. Kennedy says the number 1 marketing sin is being boring. The number 1 marketing sin in a presentation is being boring. Okay. So you don't want to be boring. So here's how you do it. Here is how you structure your story. Now, your story, even though it's about yourself, is really about the prospect. It's really about the audience member. Meaning that you are establishing your credibility, but then you are establishing it so that they understand that you are the person that they should be listening to. If you noticed, what I did is I told my story, but in what, about 3 minutes? And then I transitioned into, yeah, this is how it's actually helped other MSPs. And I gave you the results that other MSPs have gotten from doing what we're talking about here and from working with me. So here is the formula. The formula is whether you want to tell the before part. Okay. Now, by the way, I'm going to clarify this because some of you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, but I don't have a personal story. I'm not a product of the product. So I'm a product of the product, right? I went to speak, I bombed. I said, I got to figure this out. I invested in myself. I came up with a system. So I'm a product of the product I'm selling. You may not be. So I'm going to give you an example, but just follow me because it's the same structure. You tell the before part of your story, okay? You then have to reach a decision point. So again, going back to my story, right? Got invited to speak on this big stage. I bombed. That was the before part. I needed to decide, I need to do something. So I did this, I took these actions. And then I had this breakthrough, and then here was the after. Now, how does this apply to what you're doing? Now, maybe if you had a company, maybe if you got a story about your family was in business and there was a cyber attack, but you probably don't. So how do you tell the story? How do you follow this format for what you're offering? It's very simple. You tell the story of your business. Remember, we talked about at the very beginning, you must differentiate yourself from everybody else in the market. Why should we choose you as of choosing somebody else? One of the ways to do it is with your story. So the way that you would do, I'll give you an example from another industry. And I think it's important that you because this illustrates it beautifully. So I worked with an attorney, by the way, attorney, financial advisor, MSP, you're all doing the same thing, right? You're doing a presentation to get an ideal prospect, to schedule an appointment, you close them on the appointment, right? So it's the same thing. So here's how we structured her story. This will give you a perfect example of this, right? So I'll tell you the story I constructed with her. So she was an estate planning attorney. And so her story was this. So after I went to law school because I truly wanted to help people. When I opened up my own practice, I decided I wanted to be the trusted advisor to my clients. Whenever they needed me, I wanted them to reach out to me. Even if I couldn't help them, I could refer somebody else. I wanted to have that, be in that trusted advisor role. But one of the things I discovered was that my clients weren't calling me. Why? Because they knew every time they called me, the clock was ticking and that they were being billed. See, the traditional business law model was broken. And I wasn't fulfilling my mission. So I needed to change something. I knew something had to change. And so here's what I did. And then we won't tell you the rest of the story because it doesn't matter. So that was the entire before part of the story. Notice, even though she's telling her story, it is the story of her business and how it benefits her client. So I made this change, and now I became the trusted advisor. My clients could call me whenever they wanted, knowing that they weren't going to get billed. So that is how you build a story that is compelling and resonates with the audience. Okay? All right. So again, you want to develop your core story. So let's just review where we are right now. So we have our opening. Okay. In our opening, I gave you the exact wording to use, and a lot of you put it in there, and it was beautiful. The other thing that we added, which was not on a slide, but if you're taking notes, the other thing that we added was we want to use pain and pleasure. Okay. So we want to future pace how there. Sorry, I get excited about this. I just knocked my camera. How things could be. We want to paint a picture of a vision of two visions. One vision of how things will be if they don't take action, and then one vision of how it'll be if they do take action, right? So moving towards, moving away from motivation. Just as Anthony pointed out, he said, well, which is better? They're both motivating. And so in the beginning, in your opening, you want to paint that vision. Then after we paint the vision, we then go and tell our story. And included in the story, we weave in proof of results that we've gotten for clients. And so now at this point, the audience is engaged, right? They're participating just like you're participating. People are typing stuff into the chat, right? All that kind of stuff. They're engaged. And at the very least, they have some idea that you know what the hell you're talking about. Okay? It's kind of hard when you got pictures of people and results for people to say, well, this guy's full of it. Okay? Now you told your story, you weaved in. Step number 3 in this process is to deliver valuable content. To deliver valuable content. So the content needs to position yourself as the authority. It needs to showcase your expertise. But here's the key. Here's the key. Write this down, everybody. Write this down. It is not just delivering content. It is content that creates the emotional desire in your prospects to want to meet with you. It's to create the emotional desire in your prospects to want to meet with you, to be compelled to want to schedule appointments with you. And the biggest mistake you can deliver is too much content. Everyone thinks that if I deliver a ton of content, I'm providing more value. It is the opposite. You are doing the opposite. Let me explain to you why. If you get nothing else out of this, get this. If you get nothing else out of this, get this. When you over-deliver content, you're doing your prospects a disservice, especially when you start delivering technical content. And I know you guys are technicians, right? You're brilliant thinkers, and you understand technology. Your prospect doesn't want to hear about that. When you deliver too much content, 2 negative things happen. The first negative thing that happens is you overwhelm the prospect. You overwhelm them. They get confused or they get bored. And a confused, overwhelmed, bored prospect isn't really motivated to schedule time to meet with you. Let me give you the second egregious thing that happens when you over-deliver content. When you over-deliver content, you could leave your audience with the false impression that they kind of have all the information that they need in order to get the results. Yeah, I could just go fill it in, right? Fill in the blanks here online. Oh, they said I need to do this. I can just get PC-matic and I'm going to be all set. Okay, now I'm being facetious here, okay? But I think you understand what I'm saying. And so you're actually doing them a disservice because there's no way someone can get the result from listening to a 75-minute presentation, 45-minute presentation, 90-minute presentation. There's no way. They need to work with you to get the result. So if you overteach, that's not going to happen. If you do too much technical, that's not going to happen. So you're doing them a disservice. Here's the formula. Tell them what to do, not how to do it. Tell them what to do. Here's the stuff that you need to do, not how to do it. The second piece is give useful but incomplete information. What to do, not how to do it. Give them useful but incomplete information. By the way, telling people what to do is extremely valuable because they don't even know what to do. Your prospects don't know what to do, let alone how to do it. And the truth is you have to give them useful but incomplete information because you have knowledge that you've acquired over decades in some cases that there's no way you can deliver in an hour to them. So that's the formula. And let me give you a big thumb rule: 3 to 5 pieces of content. 3 to 5, not more than that. Step number 4 is presenting your offer. So your offer is either for many of you, it is for a 15-minute diagnostic call to see if they're qualified. Now, we're not going to call it a qualifying call. Or for some of you, you're not doing the 15-minute call beforehand. You're going straight to a consultation, which is fine. So here's what you do. The biggest mistake, number one mistake, is describing only the features. Oh, we're going to do a 35-minute Zoom meeting and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now you do have to tell them it's a 35-minute Zoom meeting. You do need to give them the specifics, right? But that is not the part that's going to motivate them and inspire them to take action. The next thing is, this is huge, by the way. Put a gold star around this bad boy. All right. Talking about the result of working with you instead about the benefits of the next step. You're not selling them on working with you when you present your offer. You're selling them on whatever your next step is. You're selling them on the assessment. If you're doing a cybersecurity assessment, as an example, that's what you're selling them on. You're not selling them on, oh, after you work with me, these are all the great things that are going to happen. Your prospect is not at that point yet. They're not at that point yet. They're at the point of whether or not I should take the next step. And so that's what you sell them on. Mistake, not giving them a clear call to action. Telling them specifically what you want them to do. You need to tell them, and I'm talking about specifically. So there was a great marketer, late great Gary Halbert. And Gary Halbert taught, you can hear how old this is, but it still applies to today, and applies even more to today because people's minds are all over the place. There's constant distraction. Gary said, if you send a sales letter in the mail and you want somebody to get up and call you to place the order, you need to tell them to stand up off the couch, walk over to the telephone, pick up the receiver, hold out their index finger, and dial these numbers. I'm telling you, so many sales are lost and appointments are lost because not a very, very clear call to action. The next mistake is not qualifying. Right? Remember, the presentation we want only qualified people to schedule appointments. So you want to have a section about who you don't want. Now, you don't say who you don't want, right? But you basically say, this is not for you if, right? Hey, this consultation is only for people that meet this criteria. And therefore, you're only going to be working with people, people on the phone or on Zoom or in your office, however you're meeting with them, who meet the criteria of your ideal prospect. And the final mistake is any form of neediness. Okay. If you come across with any needy energy, meaning, oh, you're begging them to, it comes across that you're begging them, you need the sale. That will kill it. The number one killer in sales is that neediness. It's not even close. Right? So your attitude should be, I care, but not too much. I care, but not too much. Meaning, yes, I want to help people who want help. But if you don't want to take me up on my help, that's fine. Stay where you are. Now, again, you're not saying that, obviously, but that's the energy that you want to project. Hey, you're the best at what you do, right? The best at what they do doesn't need business. They don't have to convince. They don't have to twist people's arm to work with them. That's the energy that you want. Okay. It is essential during your presentation that you sell not just your services, but also yourself and your company as the trusted advisor. Clients are more likely to schedule appointments with you and to engage when they feel a connection with you, when they feel a connection with your company. But mostly you, even if you're not delivering the assessment, even if you're not the one doing the selling, you're still the representative of your company. And they need to trust you. They need to trust the individual. Not just that you have a knowledge of this, but that they feel a connection with you. Okay, so let's just catch up to where we are. So we've explored the 4 key elements of the presentation. One is your engaging opening. We talked about how you want to use moving towards motivation, moving away from motivation. We talked about how to develop your story, right? So you make that connection that relates to the audience. We also talked about how to deliver content and the mistakes, what to do, what not to do. And we went over a ton of mistakes in the offer. Okay. So this is how you develop a presentation that will attract those highly qualified prospects. Now, for those of you that are ready, before we go to Q&A, let me just quickly tell you about what I call the Money Talk Workshop, which I'm holding exclusively for MSPs. If you're ready to implement these strategies, get my help in creating the presentation, this is for you. So, by the way, this isn't a course. This isn't a coaching group. It's where we work hands-on and we build your presentation together step by step, okay? So, how it works. There are 4 online sessions, and these are the dates, March 13th, the 20th, the 27th, and April 4th, so 4 consecutive weeks from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. You're going to get recordings of every session. So if you can't make a session, that's okay. Because you'll get the recordings and you'll be able to come on the next session and ask me questions. And you get all of the templates that you need. And you get my guidance filling it out. So we are working together on creating this presentation. You're also going to discover the strategy and the psychology behind them. And by the templates, I mean all of the templates, not just the template for putting the presentation together, the templates for getting people on a webinar, for example, the follow-up templates, the marketing templates, the landing page templates, all of it, okay? But the core of this is we are going to create this presentation. So why this works? Number one, this is a done with you experience. It's not passive training. You're not watching videos. We are going to create this presentation together. I've changed my entire business model over 2 years ago to this format. Why? Because I sold a lot of online courses. Most people didn't go through them. We're going to work together for 4 weeks to get this done. Again, this is a proven process that is working for MSPs. This is not generic stuff. This is going to be specifically for your industry. The next thing is we're going to be building an asset, not a presentation. This is an asset that you can use for years. This isn't a one-time fix. Okay, your presentation, you can use it over and over and over again. And you can use it live on webinars or automated, okay, through automated webinars. So here's what you're going to walk away with. We're going to design your entire opening sequence, not just the first paragraph, but your entire opening sequence. We're going to position you and your company as the expert, not just a provider. So at the end of the presentation, your prospects say, this is the obvious choice. We're going to design your close so it is seamless. So scheduling appointment is natural. It's easy. And again, it's the obvious next step for the right people. And we're going to structure your talk so your audience, whether it's virtual or in person, is already convinced that you're the right person to work with before you even invite them to take action. And we're going to talk about how you can use this in different formats. As I mentioned, live, on webinars, how to turn it into an evergreen webinar, an evergreen asset that works for you. By the way, there's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. I've got a very specific strategy for automation, which is very different than literally what everyone else is teaching. So this is not about learning more, okay? It's about actually doing it. It's about building it, okay? Something that generates clients for you month after month. So this is for you if you want a predictable way to attract and convert premium clients. This is if you are going to do live presentations, if you're willing to do webinars or speaking engagements or automated webinars, and you're ready to build an asset. Okay, that's what we're going to be building here. Now, this isn't for you if you expect some magic marketing funnel to do all the work for you. If you're unwilling to present yourself and your company as the authority, if you don't want to put yourself out there like that and let the market know about it, then this isn't for you. And if you'd rather overthink, okay, this is all about taking action. So here's the investment and how to enroll. I'm doing the special money talk workshop is for MSPs only. It will not be repeated, at least for this year, maybe never again. It's the only time I'm doing it for MSPs only. The investment, when I did a live event for Technology Marketing Toolkit, where we brought people in for a couple days, we charged $5,000 for it. We're not going to do that here. Allison and I talked about it. Normally, the investment in this is $3,000 for the workshop, but we have a special here for you guys. The investment is $19.97. Remember, this is a hands-on, live, online workshop where you're going to walk away with the presentation done. This isn't about learning it. This is about doing it, okay? If you are ready to do this and you want to be part of this, all you need to do is go to daved.com/MSP. So open up a new browser window. Allison's also going to put it into the chat. So go to daved.com/MSP. You'll be taken to the most ultra simple enrollment form on the planet. Enroll and let's get started with this. Now, the truth is, MSPs who I've worked with are utilizing this method. You've heard from them earlier, right? This works. You don't have to wonder if this works. This works. So now, whether you take advantage of it, that's up to you. I mean, it's up to you. If you're willing to come work with me for 4 weeks, it's 2 hours a week for 4 weeks to get this done, not learn how to do it, actually get it done, get my help, get my guidance. I'd love to work with you. So again, here it is again. The 4 online sessions are the 13th, the 20th, the 27th, the 4th, okay? And it's from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern on those days. You get recordings of everything. You get lifetime access. And by lifetime, it means as long as I'm alive, you'll have lifetime access to the recordings, okay? So if you want to go back and you want to review something, or if you can't make one of the sessions, that's fine. Now, if you can't make any of the sessions, to be honest with you, I wouldn't do it, because the part of the advantage is you get to ask me questions and we get to interact together. But if you have to miss a session, 2 sessions, because you can always ask me questions during it, okay? You get all of the templates you need, including I give you my actual, I call it my persuasion point template, which is really a fill in the blank PowerPoint template, which goes over it in detail, section by section, and I help you fill it out. But in addition to that, we also are going to get all of the templates, the emails, all of the marketing templates that you need to get folks on this webinar if you choose to do it as a webinar. I'm going to be going over how to do it as a webinar and how to do it as an automated webinar. We'll go over the exactly and precisely how to do that. Again, the thing I want to emphasize here is that we're going to create a presentation. You're not going to learn how to do it. Okay, you're going to create the presentation and you're going to walk away with it done, ready to use, so you can see results in your bank account immediately. And here's my challenge to you. You're going to have the presentation done by the end of week number 2. And I'm going to want you to do it I'm going to want you to have presented it once, at least once, by the end of week number 4. Okay, so that's the challenge, and that's what we're going to do. So again, if this resonates with you, if you want to do this, if you're ready to get going, simply go to daved.com/MSP. All right, you'll be taken to the ultra simple order form. Just enroll, and you'll get a welcome email. We'll get started. You'll get all of the details about it, and I'm really super excited to be working with you. It's going to be fantastic. Okay. Now, I promised everybody if you hung out to the end, I would give you a template, and so I am going to do that. So to get this report, which basically lays out what goes on the slides, go to daved.com/template. Okay, there's no opt-in, there's nothing like that. This is a true gift for you. You can download it as my gift to you. So it's daved.com/template. All right. So, Allison, if there are any questions, I will be happy to take questions. I don't know if we have any, but if we
Yeah,
do,
no, I do. I've got a little bank of questions here. But there was a couple that were kind of in the chat, and I also got some here. So a couple of
okay.
people asked me about the dates. So look on the screen. We've got the dates up there right now. And then I also had two questions about, if they can have other people from their team, attend these sessions as well, or if it's just for one person.
No, they can have other people from the team. That there has to be one spokesperson from the team. All right.
Perfect.
So you
Okay.
can absolutely have other people from your team. Now you're going to have to, what we're not going to do is like give each one a separate link and all of that. They're going to have to use your link and that. But yes, they can attend absolutely. And of course they can watch the videos as well too. So if you don't want to have a bunch of people on it live, they can absolutely get access to all of the videos as well. The only thing is one spokesperson, because again, I'm going to be really working with you. So if you've got I just can't have 5 people from a team from the same team asking me questions, but for
Gotcha.
sure.
Yep.
But
Understood.
for sure.
Understood. Um, Someone who was saying, you mentioned that you've got a strategy for automating this webinar as well. What was that? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I'll give everybody the strategy. All right. Cause you got to create it, right? Which is what we're going to be doing. So let me tell you the mistake that everybody makes with evergreening the webinar. Okay. This is worth the price of admission. Of course, this was a free training, but I think you understand what I'm saying here. So the way that everyone else is evergreening a webinar is this. So you have a registration page, and on the registration page, they can choose there's a drop-down menu. They can choose to watch it on demand. They can choose to watch it in an hour. They can choose to watch it in 2 hours. And they give them a whole bunch of choices. That is 100% the wrong way to do it. And let me explain to everybody why this is. Remember, we're talking about creating here a feature length presentation that closes, right? That gets your ideal prospects to schedule appointments. You're going to need 45 minutes to an hour to do that. Your prospects are busy business owners. Okay. So yes, they may opt in and they may say, oh, I'm going to watch it right now. But they got other stuff on their calendar. So what happens is they will watch part of it, but then they don't have time because they got another appointment coming up. So what they'll do in that scenario is they will click off, and now you lost them. That's the first thing. The next thing, the problem with the evergreen, choose whatever time you watch it on demand, is that you don't have any of the buildup to the webinar. See, when you're promoting it as hey, we're doing a live webinar. By the way, I'm going to tell you how to automate it. Doing a live webinar in this day and this time, someone opts in. Then you have a follow-up email campaign, which goes out. By the way, we include the follow-up email campaign once people have registered. That's included in the Money Talk workshop. That's all templatized. All right. So they get the build up. So it builds excitement and can establish a lot of the trust and things like that before they get on the webinar. With Evergreen, you can't do that. So here is exactly how you do it. And it's very simple. And it may come across as a duh, but let me tell you something. Folks that are doing this, no one's doing this other than folks who I've taught this to. And to tell you how powerful this is, I've got a person, one of my clients, Barb Swiatek. Barb is a financial advisor, and she does webinars the same way you'll do them to get her ideal prospects to schedule appointments with her so she can close them. So Barb used to go out and do all these dinner seminars, just as typical financial advisors do. And she was getting really burnt out. And it was funny. She went to her company and said, hey, I'm getting really burnt out from doing these dinner seminars all the time, but I want to get more appointments. What should I do? And of course, they said to her, go do more dinner seminars. Literally, they said that to her. So what she did is she took her presentation that we designed together and she automated it in the way I'm about to explain it to you. And now, by the way, she's got 4 different presentations. Once you learn how to create the core one, banging out ones on different topics is really easy. And the reason it's really easy, Allison, I promise you I'm going to get to the answer, but this is really important. Once you know how to create it, your close is going to be the same, right? Your story is going to be the same. What's going to change is the opening sequence, the title of the webinar, and the content. So she actually created 4 different ones. And here's the proper way to automate them. Bottom line is Barb doubled her business in a year. Again, I'm not promising you that you're going to double your business. By the way, this is a different Barb. The Barb I showed you is Barb Poliskowitz, who's an MSP. We're talking about Barb Swiatek, financial advisor. She doubled her business in a year and took 4 weeks of vacation, which she had never done before because she had this automated. So here's how you do it. You promote the webinar, even if it's evergreen, on a specific day at a specific time as if it were live. Please understand, I'm not saying to say that it's live, because to me, that's lying. That's not telling the truth. In your marketing, though, you simply say, we are having a webinar on Thursday at noon. So because you are having a webinar on Thursday at noon, it's just the automated webinar. So instead of giving people the opportunity, the chance to choose to watch it on demand, watch it tomorrow, watch it next week, it's like, just like it's live. Now you get all of the benefits of a live webinar without having to do it live, and all the build up, the credibility, all of that stuff that we talked about. So long answer to a simple question.
Got it. Okay. I've got questions here. I see Lisa, whoever anonymous attendee is, John, Dory, and Michael. But I want to hit Michael's real quick just because you were just talking about this. But what would you say is the ideal day of the week and time to hold a webinar?
Yeah, so a lot of it depends upon your client, right? I typically like to do webinars on, what is today, Allison? Is today Thursday?
Thursday.
Today is Thursday, right? So I like to do them on Thursdays. Let me tell you why. If you decide that you want to, if you are participating in the Money Talk workshop, you're going to get an email campaign, which is fill in the blank again, and it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Notice the ones that are paying attention will notice I'm following my own system here, right? This is my own system. So you got emails Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You are on the webinar. I followed my system, right, to offer the Money Talk workshop. And so, yeah, and so that's how it works. This time is a really good time. Anywhere, 11 noon Eastern is good. The other time that's really good for business owners, because that's, again, who my target market is, by the way. My target market is business owners as well. You guys, is 4 p.m. That's a good time as well. So if you want a big thumb rule, Thursdays, 11, 12, or 4 p.m.
Cool, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and combine Derek and our anonymous attendees' questions because they're asking something very similar. And it's about getting the right people either on the webinar or to RSVP. In Derek's case, he says getting the right audience in the presentation is hard enough. What are 2 or 3 ways you advise MSPs on getting good audience for their webinars in the first place? And Anonymous was doing an in-person cybersecurity session, so getting the right people to attend.
Yeah, and so so the first thing is, regardless of what mechanism that you're, so first of all, let me answer a question. Let me give a piece of advice and a strategy which doesn't answer the question, but it's a better question, the better answer. Okay. And then I'll answer the question. The first thing is, let me ask you, do you guys have does anyone on here have any leads on an email list that are not clients? They're leads. They're unconverted leads. So you've got leads. Anybody got that? Okay. Everybody, right? Everyone's got leads. All right. So the very first thing you want to do, the very, 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 very first thing you want to do is to do a marketing campaign to your own list. So you get an ROI immediately. Okay. So if you've got I don't care if it's 100 or 50, you should do that before you spend a dime on marketing. Getting new leads, let's close the leads that we currently have, right? So I'm going to give you a campaign specifically. Again, if you're one of the many folks that are in the Money Talk workshop with me, I'm going to give you the campaign to send to your list. And I'm going to strongly recommend that you do that first before you start generating new leads, because that'll give you a multiple on your investment in the Money Talk workshop, over and over and over again immediately. So that's the very first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is, in whatever mechanism that you're using to generate leads, whether it is Facebook, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is direct mail, all of those things are valuable ways to get actual. See, there's a difference between leads, by the way, and traffic. So we're talking about two different things here. Okay. So traffic are people coming to your registration page. That's traffic. Those aren't leads. Leads are when they give you their name and email address to sign up for your event. Those are leads. Okay. Traffic. So if you're asking me, well, what the mechanics of how to do Facebook, I have no idea. I don't do, that's not my expertise, right? There's plenty of people that can do that, but the marketing of it is my expertise. One of the things that you want to do to get quality people on is your marketing materials, whether it's direct mail, LinkedIn, whatever, Facebook, whatever you're doing, needs to accomplish two goals. Number one, it needs to persuade the people who you want, who will be your ideal clients, to click on the link to go to the registration page and register. But at the same time, it needs to dissuade the people who you don't want. So it's, here's who I'm looking for, here's who I'm not looking for. Most people think of lead generation, we kind of opened with this earlier, is how many leads can I get? No, it's not how many leads can I get. It is how many quality leads can I get? How many quality appointments can I get on my calendar? And so that's the first thing. And then just as a tactic, that's more strategy. As a tactic, you want to ensure that whatever mechanism, let's say you're doing a Facebook ad, but it doesn't matter if it's direct, makes no difference. You want to make sure that your ad and your webinar registration page or your seminar registration page are match each other. So when somebody clicks on your ad, it lands on your webinar registration page, they immediately know they're in the right place. This is a gigantic mistake that people make. I mean, they need to know instantly. If there's any confusion, you're going to lose them. As far as I showed you Anthony earlier, I'm not going to go back to show the slide, but Anthony, who crushed it, what he did to get one of the best ways for an MSP, and it's what Anthony did, by the way, which there was zero marketing expense. He did joint ventures. So he found he did joint ventures with other audiences. So other companies that had audiences that were the same as his. Okay. So again, if you look at, we're really breaking it down here, Allison, really behind the scenes. What am I doing here? All right. I am doing a joint venture, a webinar to Allison's audience, right? I had no marketing expense. You can do the same thing. So I guess my point is, before you start thinking about, well, I need to spend more money generating more leads, there are strategies, which we obviously are going to go over in the workshop, like I just mentioned, about that don't cost you anything to do. Let's start with those so we get some clients and we make some money before we start spending more money. Right? That's my recommendation.
Okay, I love it. We are not going to have time for all the questions because I've got, a bunch that came in. Some of them I've been trying to, kind of type back to. I know we're already, 9 minutes over. And so thank you guys, for staying on, and you're staying on. I'm like looking at the numbers. I'm like, I'm still here.
Well, it's not weird. I mean, honest to goodness, I don't want to overstate this, but this is the stuff, man. This is it. If you have this asset, you have the most powerful asset as far as marketing in your entire business, period, over and out. Books are great. Reports are great. All of that is great. Direct mail is great. You should be doing all of that. This is the key. This is the only thing. I want you to think about this for a second. Sorry, I get excited about this. I'm very passionate about this. This is the only mechanism that will attract leads and convert them into appointments, right? And sell you and your company and not just the service. It's the stuff, man. It's the stuff. So that's why people are on. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. Just a reminder, if you do the Money Talk workshop, you do get direct access, to Dave on every single one of those 2-hour sessions. And so if we didn't get, your question answered, I hope you signed up and you're able to kind of pick his brain on any of those sessions.
Yeah, that's the whole point of these, by the way, is that it's live and we're working together to create this. That's 100% right, Allison. Right.
Perfect. Okay. Well, again, I know we're over, so I'm sorry if we weren't able to get to your question, but go ahead and sign up for the Money Talk workshop and you can get those questions answered by Dave. We had a couple people. Yes, we're going to send you a link to the recording. Appreciate you guys for being on here. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
I have been, to so many of your presentations and hosted, and I still learn something new every time. So greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody, for being on here. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.